We will be doing accounting transactions, and last week we started basically journal entries. So journal entries for different transactions we trying to do. So today we start with yet another scenario. For example, A started business using 2 million cash. हम इसको PKR कर लेते हैं. PKR 2 million cash. What would be the transaction in journal entry in general for this transaction? So you had account title, you had debit side, you had credit side. So what would be your account title? Debit. If you have cash, so this cash is debit. So your cash will be debited to 2 million, and your owner's investment will be credited with 2 million. That will be a transaction for this one. Assume he rented a space by paying 100,000 in advance and also paid 6 months rent at the rate 25,000. Okay, what would be the transaction for this one? Yeah, debit, credit, account item. How would you do it then? Rented a space of 100,000 by paying 100,000 in advance. So it's basically your advance. How much? 100,000. And then he paid 6 months rent also in advance. So advance rent in this case is written as prepaid rent. So 25,000 into 6 will make it 150,000. Obviously, he must have paid these in cash. So this is 250,000. So this will be your second transaction. Moving on to next transaction, for example, services of furnishing home which will fix or infrastructure whose detail is as under. So you have fixtures of worth 20,000. You have furniture worth 70,000. You have posters of 20,000. You have electricity equipment of, let's say, 40,000. So the arrangement is paid in, is paid as percent in advance. Rest will be paid on completion. Into ठीक, तो ये हमारे पास एक transaction की information है. So he hires the services of a furnishing firm which will fix all the infrastructure whose detail is as under. Fixtures, furniture, posters, electricity equipment. ठीक है. The payment is paid as 50% in advance and rest will be paid upon completion. इसका मतलब ये है that we have to record this information because we are going to pay 50% in advance. So transaction has initiated basically. Account title, debit, and credit. So your first account title obviously is going to be of short-term assets as well as expenses. So your fixtures are basically expenditures. So fixtures expense is of 20,000. Similarly, your furniture is asset, so it cannot be expensed, which is of 70,000. Your posters are also considered expenses. This will be expense of how much? 20,000. Then final item was electricity equipment. Is equipment, so it will be an asset of how much? 40,000. So now the total amount payable to this furnishing firm is 150,000, of which we have paid 50% in cash, since we want to carry out this business, so we have to pay 50% in advance. 50% of 150,000 is basically 75,000, and the rest is payable. So this will be furnishing payables, and this will be of 75,000. Now you can easily judge that left hand side debit and the credit side are equal, 150,000 and 150,000. If you have any query in this transaction, you can ask.
सर मेरी क्यूरी है जी
Yes, Abdurrahman.
सर फिक्सचर्स और फर्नीचर को हम सेम कैटेगराइज नहीं करते होते क्योंकि दोनों नॉन करंट एसेट्स हैं फिक्सचर भी सेम कैटेगरी में ही आते हैं
कौन सी?
सर फिक्सचर्स एक्सपेंस आपने इसको कंसीडर किया है फिक्सचर और फर्नीचर सेम कैटेगरीज ही हैं सिर्फ फिक्सचर्स जैसे हम मुख्तलिफ चीज़ें फिक्स कर देते हैं एज अ फर्नीचर तो वो तो उस नेचर की नहीं होंगी एक्सपेंस आउट की होंगी
जो आपकी फर्नीचर की नेचर की हैं उनको इसीलिए अलग से कर दिए। अब कुछ ऐसे फिक्सचर्स हैं which you cannot separate from the जो जो आप वॉल से आप create नहीं कर सकते हैं, तो आपके
ठीक है
एक्सपेंडिचर,
बात जा रही
so you have to consider those as an expenditure.
और दूसरा सर हमें एडवांस जो आपने कहा था कि पेड इन एडवांस तो इसको एडवांस में 50% बुक नहीं करेंगे
कौन सा?
आपने कहा कि पेमेंट इज पेड 50% इन एडवांस
So what this
तो
75,000 cash is telling you? What is this telling
ये
you? Isn't it the advance payment?
ठीक है जी ठीक है जी
Okay. Thank you. Any more questions, please? Okay, then we carry on to the next transaction. Okay, let's hope the next transaction is after 2 weeks, business is due for opening, but we have to pay to the vendor that furnished rental space. How would you pay it then? So your title, debit, and credit. So you generated basically furnishings payable. So they are being paid now. So 75,000 and cash will be credited by 75,000. So this will conclude your transaction.
ये देख मर ही नहीं रहा मुझसे ये देखिए आप इनको फोन लेके आ रहे हैं
So he purchased 7,000 cartons at 30 each. So how would you process this information? So you have purchases. This is 7,000 at 30. So how much amount it would be? 210,000. So obviously he must have paid cash against it. So this concludes your transaction. For example, your next transaction is we purchased 5,000 cartons each on credit. So how would you record this? On title, debit. So once again you have purchases, which is 5,000 into 32. Would be 2,000. And they're on credit. So this is your payable. Last week we discussed in that it needs to be account payable. Since we have purchases not on credit, it is the one. People can't keep themselves mute. It's not that difficult to keep yourself mute. Okay, we're moving on to next transaction. For example, we sold 10,000 cartons at, let's say, 40 each. And 70% in cash. So you are receiving cash. So your cash will be debited, which is 70%. How much is the transaction worth? 10,000 into 40, 4 lakh. So this would be 400,000. So of 400,000, you're receiving cash 70%. So this is 280,000. Which also means you have something in receivables. So you have not received whole year amount. So you have something called account receivable, which is the remaining amount. Out of 400,000, you are only receiving 280,000. So this also means that 120,000 needs to be received in future. And this is your sales revenue. So this should be credited by how much? 400,000. So this is your one transaction. Last week we also discussed this. Since you record your revenue, whenever you record your revenue, you need to basically record the cost as well. So you must have another transaction which was called cost of goods sold, or most commonly we write it as CGS. This should be debited by how much we'll see, and then uh, your purchases have declined, so you need to close those purchases. Now we need to calculate the cost of these goods. You had two purchases, one was 7,000, the other was 5,000. So 7,000 were purchased at 30, but next 5,000 were purchased at 32. So you have to calculate your cost, 7,000 at 30, and then 5,000 at 32. So you need to keep this in mind that you have 12,000 out of which you are selling 10,000. So you can use all of these and you can sell some of these. For example, 30 at 32. So this would mean that you will have remaining 2,000 whose cost you bore as 32. So this will be the inventory level. You have to keep this in mind. Uh, for 50 purposes, you can use these two, 7,000 and these 7,000 should basically be 10,000. And this would cost them how much? 96,000. So you can add these two costs and you can write them here. So 210 plus 93,000 is your cost, which also means you would lose 306,000 from your business. So this concludes this transaction. Any query from here? Any query from this transaction, please?
सर ये जो लास्ट में जो आपने किया था इसकी समझ नहीं आई परचेजेस की।
Which one?
Step.
Sorry, we missed out on your voice, please. Can you repeat?
तो ये कॉस्ट ऑफ गुड्स सोल्ड जो है ये रिपीट कर दें, ये जो लास्ट वाला जो आपने किया।
Okay, then. So we had two types of inventory here. We had two purchases. First, we purchased 7,000, which costed 30 each. Then we purchased 5,000, which costed 32 each. So we are using we are using basically method which asks us that when you receive goods first, they must be sold first. So technically, it's called first in first out method. Right? So we are using this method to calculate the cost of goods sold, in which we are assuming the first 7,000 out of these 10,000 must be these 7,000 whose cost we already know that it is 2,10,000, right? So then we need to compensate these 10,000 units we're selling here to generate 400,000 as a revenue. So next 3,000 units are costing us 40. So we have to kindly mute your mobiles. That's very unfair. That's very unfair. So next 3,000 costs are costing you 96,000. So we are adding these two, right? Since these two constitute 10,000 units, breakup of these 10,000 units is 7,000 who costed 30 and 3,000 who costed 32. So their total cost we just calculated was 306,000, right? And we also noted that this is your remaining inventory, remaining purchases, right? You have only 2000 goods left, which are costing you 32. So this is what we did. So anybody having still any query? Is it clear now?
Okay, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay, to people who are unable to hear, I'll be uploading this recording to facilitate you. 1, 2. We need to keep this discipline in class, please. While I'm talking, your mic should be muted so that everybody listens clearly. So it would be unfair uh, to the others, please. We are a class of 37, 38 students. So I can't manually mute everybody's mic. You have to keep this in check. For people who are late and asking me to revise, it's not possible, unfortunately. But I'm recording it, so it will be available to you in Google Classroom after the class, hopefully. One last point to ponder, please. Zoom sessions are of 40 minutes. So it's about to end now. So we'll have to rejoin in about 1 minute. So hopefully you don't worry. So I'll be re-signing in 1 minute. So we have this 1 minute. We'll be using this for the next transaction, which is he purchased 6,000 units at a cost of 32 each on credit by paying previous credit. So how would you record it then? So you have the phases